It's because it's so much money to be able to live today, and the way that you are generating income is so capped. You guys must productize everything. And I truly believe that if you don't have a goal of making close to $1 million, you won't even allow your mind to think about that. Okay. So whether it's a $30 product, it's a $300 product, it's a $3,000 product, it's a $30,000 product, or it's even a $50,000, $60,000 product. If you don't have something that's detached from you, you're in trouble. The only way for you to be able to build a business is to hire more people to do what you are doing. And now you have so many other variables because they're people, and people do people-y things.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you as always for joining me. I want to talk to you guys about business and about the goals that you should have regarding your particular business. And that is the following. Let's talk about the goal you shouldn't have first. And that is to have a six-figure business. $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year business is no bueno. Like it just isn't. I think it's in your best interest to attempt to have a business that does $1 million a year. And I know that sounds weird, it sounds crazy, but I actually think it's a heck of a lot easier. And I'm going to use this podcast to explain why. And I can only say this because of a couple reasons. I feel very qualified to have this podcast because I have probably made more than you, probably. I've probably also made less than you, which we'll talk about both. And I've had 100,000 six-figure a year business, and it was brutal. Okay. And today I have a good chunk of my businesses that do 7 figures a year. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a heck of a lot easier on me to actually keep the business running and functioning properly. So that's really what I want to discuss. And let's talk about all those things that I just said. Okay. Chances are I've made less than you. Have you made approximately 20 cents an hour? That was my situation. My first job that I traded time for money, I made 20 cents an hour. It was a commission-based job, but I physically was trading my time for money. I got commission only. I worked 2 weeks for the Sun Sentinel, which is a newspaper company in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I sucked at it, and I only sold a couple subscriptions to people, and I was paid on commissions, and I made $12 in 2 weeks. So my average pay per hour was 20 cents, okay? Why? Because I wasn't good at the thing I was doing. I was trying to sell newspapers, and I didn't have the confidence. I didn't believe in a product. I just wanted money, and I was like 14 or 15 years old, and I couldn't get a job at the local grocery store. So that's why I did it. So I'm assuming you haven't made less than 20 cents an hour, okay? I've also have created $1 million businesses. So on the other side, but here's the thing about the businesses that I've created $1 million in. Some of them I've done it over the course of a year, but there's some that I've done in a month. There's some that I've actually generated that income in just weeks, actually some in a weekend. And I can tell you this, it's actually harder to do the trading time for money business, the 6-figure business, the selling newspapers over 2-week business, and I was an employee for that business, versus having the $1 million business. And it's because of this one thing. And this is what I want you all to really take away from this. The businesses that I have made millions of dollars in, I have productized the business, or I've had the business detached from Greg generating the revenue on a day-to-day basis, at least my time. I have detached my time from the business. Whereas with the business, when I'm talking my clinics, when I was doing, in the low 6 figures, it was attached to my time, and it was brutal. And that's the thing I want you guys to understand. If you have your goal as I want to have a business that does 6 figures a year, so I want to have a business that does 120K. Okay, I get it. But if you position your business to do that, you're going to be in a business to where you're not going to have to think of how the business will generate money without you. Like, you can do that. Like, here's the deal. $100,000 a year, you have to make $48 an hour. make $48, you work 40 hours a week, you do that consistently over the course of 52 weeks, then you're good. If you only want to work 50, you want 2 weeks vacation, you got to make $50 an hour. Like, that's pretty much how it works, okay? And so I want you guys to understand that. The problem is, if you're trying to run a business, if you're working 40 hours a week just to fulfill in the business, that's wonderful and that's great. But I'm assuming you haven't done any marketing. I'm assuming you haven't done any relationship building. I'm assuming you haven't done any relationship building with people that are prospects. Like, they're not ready to pay you money. They don't trust you yet. I'm assuming you haven't built relationships with people that have your audience. So what ends up happening is, when you do a business like that, yes, you're spending 35, 40, 45 hours a week on fulfilling, but then you still got to do the other things to run the business. So you're really spending somewhere between 65, 75, maybe even up to 80 hours a week. Like, come on, you know that's the case. It sucks. Or you basically are doing 40 hours a week of fulfillment, and then you're saying, you know what? I'm not even worried about that other stuff. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I got no clients. Like, this is crazy. And then you panic. And then you realize, well, I don't have 40 hours a week to go take care of clients because I've got no clients. So then you start doing the other stuff in the business, which is I'm getting awareness, I'm building relationships with people, I'm taking care of people that are not my customers yet, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing all these different things. And then you build it up to where you have 20, 30, 40 hours a week of fulfillment. And then guess what? You don't have any time to go do those things again. So your business goes through this roller coaster, this cyclical, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's brutal. And it's because you haven't detached your time from income generation. I really want you all to understand that. Conversely, when you have a goal to make 7 figures in a business, that means that there's no way you're going to be able to do that trading your time for money. It's impossible. Like, there's no way. The only way you're going to be able to do that is if you're charging $500 an hour. $500 an hour, 40 hours a week will get you to $1 million. Who's going to pay you $500 an hour? People pay me that. People pay me $3,500 an hour at times for certain people. But even for me, there's no way I would get I have no desire to get 40 hours a week of that, but there's no way I would get $500 an hour for every week of 40 clients. Like, it's downright impossible. And plus, I wouldn't want to do it anyways. So you guys have to productize everything. And I realized that until I made my goal and started asking questions of how do I actually create $1 million business, I never got the answer of you have to productize everything you're doing. Like, everything you're doing, every single thing that Greg Todd does that helps people, I have to figure out how can I turn that into a product. Like, and by the way, that's what I'm going to be teaching at SSHC Live. Every single part of the model that I teach my clients is a product. It's a product that detaches your time from income generation. So whether that's groups and memberships, whether that's info products, whether that's solutions-based offers, whether that is agency, whether that is being an affiliate, you have to detach your time from it, or you're going to run out of time. And it's impossible. And that's the reason why people are like, oh, it's impossible for me to make $1 billion. You're right. If you're doing it in the way that you're doing it, it's impossible. But if you take the things that you know, the experience that you have, and you figure out a way to productize it, well, now people can buy your stuff 168 hours a week. Now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have products, you have services, you have things that are available, but it's detached from your time. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a couple examples. I, as a mentor and as a coach, get asked, how do I manage my time? Okay, and let's talk about the way that most people would do it. The way most people do it is if somebody reach out to you on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, YouTube, email, said, okay, hey, Greg, I'm running out of time. Like, I'm busy in my business. Like, how do you manage your time? Well, here's how most people would do that. They would then say, okay, I'm going to email the person back and say, okay, well, this is what I do. I wake up at this time, I do this, I do that, and then I do this, and I do that, and then I do this, and then I do that, and then I block off my time, in my magic time, my me time, my messing around time, and then I do this, and I do that, and then I have my meetings, I do this, and I put my time in implementation, unification, communication, visionary, okay, blah, 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 and I do that. Okay, boom. And the person gets the information like, okay, that was awesome, great. All right, let me go do that. And then what if somebody else asks, and somebody else asks, and somebody else asks? Well, you've just now run out of time, okay? Instead, what I did is I said, okay, that information, how can I productize it? So I'm gonna show you guys a couple different ways that I productize it. Number one is I have a a very low ticket product. It's $30. It's a GT planner, and it's set up to every single thing that I do and how I do it and how I anchor my day and what things I make sure I do daily to keep me on track, how I notate my time on what things I'm doing, what things I'm not doing. I notate all that inside the planner. So now it's not only that I'm showing you how to do it via the planner, but I'm also giving you the tool to be able to do it in. And you can do it not just for 1 day, not just for 2 days, but you can do it for 90 days. So I sell for $30. It ends up being like 30 cents a day that you can use my system, and I can give you the tool for it instead of putting in some notepad and this and that, da, 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 da. Okay, that is $30. Okay, here's another thing that and by the way, that's a product. It's just a physical product, okay? I have an info product. It's an info product that actually shows you exactly, not only how I use it, I actually give a video to everybody on how to use it, but I have a product that actually breaks down like how I time block my time throughout the day and how I can help people with saving so much time throughout the day and include time for you to be able to mess around. And that product I sold for $300. Okay, so the first product for $30, if I sell 30,000 of those, like 30,000, call it 33,000 of those a year, like I make $1 million. Just with that product, I make $1 million, right? And so how would you do that? Well, you could do that by partnering with other people that have audiences that need help with their time. And they have big audiences, and I can help people and show them how to manage their time better. And then I can pitch my product, okay? Or I can say, all right, I'm not gonna sell that, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sell my info product, and I'm gonna sell 3,000 of those a year, 3,300 of those a year at $300, and that's $1 million too. And by the way, it's not like I've sold nearly 5,000 of my planners. It's not that I have done that in particular just to make $1 million, but it's just showing that you could do it with just one product. The issue is, do you even have a product? Do you have something where you can get value to people that is not you physically in front of people? Now, if you think about it, us as healthcare providers, we've never learned how to do that. Everything we've learned in school is exactly how to do the opposite of that. That's why it's so difficult for people to win. That's why it's so hard for people to even keep a job. It's because it's so much money to be able to live today, and the way that you are generating income is so capped. You guys must productize everything, and I truly believe that if you don't have a goal of making close to $1 million, you won't even allow your mind to think about that. Okay, so whether it's a $30 product, it's a $300 product, it's a $3,000 product, it's a $30,000 product, or it's even a $50,000, $60,000 product. If you don't have something that's detached from you, you're in trouble. The only way for you to be able to build a business is to hire more people to do what you are doing. And now you have so many other variables because they're people. And people do people-y things, you know, like they get sick, they have this, they got to go to the doctor's appointment, they have this, the spouse is going on this, my dog died, blah, 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 blah. Like people are people, like I'm people, and I know I do people-y things too, okay? But when you have a product, and you have a way to be able to get people to the product takes care of itself. And I wish you guys would just understand that and just do that and figure out what offer you can put out that is a product that will actually bring value to people, and they'd be willing to pay you money for that product. And that product is not you. And I don't believe that people that have a goal and aspiration to make six figures are even thinking that. They're just like, how can I get more patients that I can give my time to? But when you start to have these bigger numbers, you realize there's no possible way I can do that. What's the other way? And that is the other way. And I'll tell you guys right now, if you could start thinking like that, that's going to change your business. It's going to change your life. It's going to make things so much easier, and it's going to allow you to actually run a business. You guys, your business, you should not be spending more than 25% of your time fulfilling. Like you really shouldn't. You really shouldn't. And that's lessons that I've learned. I've continued to learn. You should not be spending more than 25% of your work week fulfilling. And if you are, you're screwed. That's what I'm going to teach at SSHC Live. Like I've just recently lined up everything we're going to be teaching at the event. Every single thing I'm teaching at the event is how to not trade time for money. And it's just different ways that you can do it. And I'm not going to be just talking about, I'm going to have my students that are doing it talk about it. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. So anyways, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, go to sshclive2024.com. I highly advise you to be there because where else are you going to learn this? Like where else? You're going to go to another CEU course to just learn how to trade more of your time for money? Or you're going to go to another coaching program where all they're doing is showing you how to get more patients so you can trade more of your time for money? Come on, guys. Enough is enough. You've got to learn this and start thinking in bigger numbers so you can start getting bigger and better answers. I hope that resonates. Until next time.